Alright, so obviously overdrive servo has to be in before the intermediate clutches, pump, and all that to line it up. Reverse band doesn't matter. It lines right up. This is accumulator. So we're going to pop all of the K stuff in before we dive into the valve body. Now, thing to note, spring for reverse. Reverse servo, I think I hit on this when I took it apart. There are 2 grooves on this. There's 1, 2, and 3 that I know of. That's a 2. It's molded, soft, but we're going to replace it. So, hit in the cover, go in a junk barrel. So, grab our new ones, which, bam. So we want to obviously make sure these are lubed before assembly. Do I worry about the servo link? No, because whatever comes out I put in, I've never had a problem. There might be a day, but till that day happens, I ain't worried about it. Throwing that one out there. And generally I can do these by hand, but let's see what happens. Because you got 2 that have to go like so. And, oh, come on. Perfect. Of course, I would get a phone call. So there you go. There's reverse. In the middle of the video, homie.
Well, I can't see you, so I'm sorry.
All right. Well, 8 o'clock at the shop, or what's the deal?
Okay, that, and I need to tell you something.
Okay.
Listen to Tyler Childers. They think you thought the Dead South was good. This guy's good. Like,
well,
he's good.
Well, let me holler at you here in a little bit. But what, 8 o'clock at the shop? Is that the deal?
Yeah, I'll relay the info to my grandfather when he gets here.
All right. Yeah. Let me holler back at you later, man. It might be about 9 o'clock if that's all right, but I'll holler at you.
Okay.
All right, man.
Stop back.
Alrighty, so we have this, so we're going to put the next accumulation up in here, which we have here, as opposed to the original. They're just bad about the rubber separating, and we're not looking to have issues at all. That ain't my thing. So normally you can gently coax these by hand. Sometimes they tend to get a wee bit sticky. There we go. Sometimes I double check. Yep, she's good. They're real easy to get uneven in the bore, and you have issues. Spring and the retainer, and just like the retainer on the pump, you got to bend the ears a little bit or they won't stick and stay. So we're going to make that happen. So the dome goes up, which is all kinds of magical. let's see. You got to try to center it best you can. Come on now. Oh, God dang it. Sometimes the simplest of shit make you want to cuss your mama. Makes the valve body a bear to put on if this thing ain't like flush. That probably won't stay there, but as long as it's flush. This one is a nightmare in and of itself. So, get our stuff over here. Piston, the cover, 2 springs involved. They're the same color, however, the longer one goes down. Yeehaw. Thank you, Ford. So, and there's different colors for different shift fields, yada yada. This is already behind a V8 5.0, so I'm really not worried about it. It'll be absolutely stellar, I'm sure, as Ford designed it to be. Got to kind of get that started. That, I ain't gonna lie, this one is not as bad as the overdrive servo up there, but man, it ain't fun at all. I don't like it. This kind of stuff that just makes you want to say a bunch of bad words. I mean, really make you want to say a bunch of bad words here. However, we can get this pushed down, get our ring in here. I don't know how much of this y'all can see. And you use your handy dandy snap ring pliers here. Oh, you son of a bad word. Alright. This ain't gonna be Christian, I'm gonna tell you right now. Because it has to be around. This has to be indexed. This is where, of course, you would freaking do that. This is where 3 hands help. I hate these. I absolutely hate these. I'm sure they make an easier tool to do this as well, but where's the fun in that? Oh man, there we go. Lucky man. There you go. So, snap rings in, covers, and lucky. That was a just Jesus wants it together. So, let's see here. EPC solenoid. Man, we're getting close to the controls of this bad boy. So we lube it up. And she sits in there. Man. Of course, we want to put our linkage seal in her, which has to be done. We already got the park mechanism. I already covered that in the video. Let's see. Got our linkage seal here. Normally 13/16 socket is perfect. Oh, especially if I actually get it in straight. I want to try that again here. These are a real funky type of seal. Let's see. They only go so far. Alright, so I use 13/16 socket, and they just slide right in, as you can tell. Come on now. Bam. So, I don't know how well you can see this. So the rooster cone goes up. You got to index the tit of that where the park mechanism is, which would be easier to do this. So there you go. There's your park mechanism that pushes it down. That's how you want that indexed right there. You are welcome. Alright, we got that figured out. Alright, so we're going to put shaft in. And let's see. You don't get super carried away here because you got to get the nut on it. There's our nut. You got to start that on before you get this too far in, because you'll never get it on otherwise. And there is a pin goes in which limits travel. Goes in the case right there, and you'll feel when it's in. The pan keeps it from walking, so that, there you go. So now we just got to tighten the nut. And I have a wrench I use for it once we get it close to seated. Notice I didn't run the EPC up because with the Sonex SureCure, it tends to make them just fine, and I'm very happy with it. So let me get my wrenches. And I mean, on one of these, really everything else is, you know, doing the valve body. So let me double check our pump just to make sure. I want to make sure these are, I want to say it's like 22 to 28 foot-pounds. Alright, so there we go. That much is done. No big deal. Alright, let me get the wrench for our linkage. Alrighty. Use the 13/16 on those, or that, it works fine. So there's our park, servo, overdrive, the accumulator, the other accumulator. We are pretty stellar. So we're off to the shitty gritty, as I call it, with the valve body system. Well, we can do this. We'll go ahead and put the little wire harness on it. Be a good idea. Makes them work a lot better. Let's see. So everybody can see there. The flat lines up with the flat right there. So there you go. There's your wire harness. So you got the temp sensor, shift solenoids. This is your EPC, and this is the TCC. So this goes over the valve body that way, plugs up, which you'll see. So anyhow, there you go. Here's the harness. Okay, so let's do a tear down of the valve body. So I think we can see this. So the plate on the top, this is a trans temp sensor. The plate on the top, all the 10 millimeters, retain the plate. The furthest south, to make this easier, this is how it goes on the unit. The furthest to the bottom is a lineup pin. It goes right there. The center at the top is also a lineup pin. So the furthest top and bottom in the center are lineup pins for the case, for the valve body. So make sure those go there. And they're the only ones that have the inset top that ain't flat. Alrighty. Moving right along. So, all the other bolts in the plate. They're all the same. The only two are the lineups that are different. Alright. Gasket didn't tear. There's your top plate. Usually it comes, look at that. God is on our side. Man, that's beautiful. Alright. So we'll clean that. There's one bolt retaining the shift solenoids and the lockup solenoid, and it's the same as the other short ones. So the shift solenoids come off first, and these are Fords, so they're original to the unit, so they're, you know, old. I wouldn't trust them. Then the lockup solenoid, or converter clutch solenoid. So it's also a Ford part number. Go figure. Yeah, so this thing's never had electronics put on. It's been built once before, and they still didn't put electronics on. Yeehaw! Alright. The filter seal, common to stay in the valve body, which we're not having. That's all from this side. This side, this is what we call the fun side. This is where shit gets real. Thank God, look at that. Peeled off, we ain't scraping shit. Man, beautiful. It's already got the plate here. A lot of the later 470Ws don't have this plate, which sits over this accumulator in the case, and it beats through and screws it up, so you have to drill the holes. And I figured I would on this. This one's old enough we don't have to, so if I ever do another one, I'll do a valve body update on a late 470, 475W. We ain't doing it now. Don't have to. So let's pop these bad boys off. These are the same as the other bolts already removed, and no matter what anybody says, these only go one way. I mean, unless you're a complete and total thundertard, you can't screw this up. You can tell what side the bolts are on, and you can tell how they orient. You snug the bolts down on the correct side, because one side has tracks, other side doesn't. So the track side goes down. You can't screw it up. I've seen people outline them. They only go one way. The big one, same difference. This one, doesn't matter either way. It'll line up either way, and they even went so far to make two of the identical tracks, even though it only needs one. Who'd have thunk it? Alright. Moving along. Pull the... Oh, forgot the one in the corner. Sorry. Screwed up. There goes NASCAR. Alright. Factory gasket. Wow. Oh, look at that. Anybody that's ever done transmissions, if you understand how happy this makes a transmission rebuilder, I feel like my Christmas just happened. That's amazing. Alright. Moving right along. On the valve bodies, there are different check ball locations. We're going to try, there's a spot in this bench, we don't get carried away, let's let it drain. There's always a drain back valve and a filter, and there's a couple different check balls, so we'll let it drain a sec. I'm not worried about the manual valve, it can stay. Did I tell you how happy I am the gaskets came off? And those are factory gaskets, look at that. OMG. Man. That's beautiful. That proves the Lord wants this to be done correct in an old Bronco. It's for the environment. It's for the children, really. This is being done for the greater of mankind. I mean, and I'm just the guy making it happen. Man, beautiful. I love it. Man, just blessed with such an opportunity. Alrighty, so God, it's getting late and I'm hungry, but I want to get this done. So, we're going to do this. In our valve body, and we're going to try, because we're going to clean this and call this an evening. I'm going to tell you right now, because I am starving. And this is gonna happen. So, is that as far as it goes? Huh. Oh, Lord, I be see what it be. All right, bear with me here. Sorry, you got to look at my ugly face, but there we go. Oh, look at that. Man. Alright. Let's get it on what we're actually trying to see here. That would help. Let's see. Maybe. Oh my goodness. This is going to be... There we go. Alright. So. Lord have mercy. So, before we go to swapping the components and everything, there's a lot to note. So right here in the corner, filter inlet's right here at the hole, big hole there. There's this drain back valve. I've never not seen it in one, so that comes out. It'll go either way. So pull that out. Check balls. I have seen variances in check balls. Not the end of the world, but you don't want to get caught off guard. So you want to mark. I do little X's on the casting, and I can look it up in our software because we've got it. But you want to make sure to be very careful and mark all the check balls, and also don't flip, because all the keepers will fall out of this side if you flip it over, or they have the potential to, and that's never fun, believe me. Then you got to try to figure out where it came from and all, which we have the software. It's no big deal. It just takes time away from what I'm trying to do. So we've got a total, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 check balls, which is all I see. Oh, I'm sorry, 8. We have 8 check balls. There's usually the seal right there, as we can see. The valve, and it does vary on years. So we have a clean valve body, other than pulling valves out to swap components. Nothing fell out. So I think for the sake of sanity, I'm calling this quits, and we'll disassemble and clean the valve body and reassemble it, and then throw it on the tranny and torque it down, and we ought to be good to rock and roll here. So Did I tell you I'm glad the gaskets came off without tearing? I mean, that's amazing. So appreciate it. Been a screwed up week and past 2 weeks since I've been real sick, and we'll wrap this up sooner than later, hopefully. So I appreciate it, y'all. Thank you.